Hey, greetings, streamers. We're going to start our today's stream, and it has to do especially with Roku and Amazon Fire devices. Sorry, since a lot of people have been asking us about these, so let's go and check it out. Feel free to make any questions or comments. They're always welcome. So don't forget, we always enjoy sharing with you. Feel free to make any questions since we want to be this as interactive as possible. Okay, so I'm going to start by explaining a little bit about today's live. And it has to do with whether, if you're not sure which streaming device to get a hold on, let me just pause this real quick. Okay, so I apologize for that. I had to just turn off something. Okay, anyways, what I would like to show you now. Okay, in our videos on our channel, we have loaded quite a lot of videos about many streaming devices. You will notice that there's a lot of content about channels in both Roku devices and also on Amazon Fire devices. And well, a lot of people ask us about which is the best streaming device you can get, and we always tell you, it depends on what you're looking for. I know a lot of people actually will say that Roku devices are better, and it might be, but it depends on who is the end user. For instance, I started on the streaming world on around 2013, 2014, and the first streaming device that I bought was a Roku. And you can see our first videos are actually all about Roku streaming devices, especially the Roku one, which is pretty old. And it was a great streaming device. I mean, it was very simple to use, very intuitive, very easy to organize your channels. It was very easy to add content. The only problem was that Roku devices were restricted only to the US when they started. So if you were outside the US, you needed to use a DNS and use some tricks and maybe some tips that we leave in our videos for actually setting up for it to work outside the US. Once you got that done, you were good to go. However, Roku started to become more popular and they started to launch it in other countries. In Latin America, for instance, they did launch it. The problem was though that Roku, they changed their business model, and I would like to explain and show you something real quick. So I might pause the video, and I would like to show you the first remote controllers that Roku had, so you kind of follow me. So let me just go right quickly. I'll be back. Okay, so I am back, and please let me know. Someone has pointed out that, for instance, my audio is not as good as it should be. So let me see if I can raise it a little bit more. Do you hear me better now? Or shall I increase the volume a little bit more? Let me see if I can raise the volume here. So it's the headset, microphone. Do you listen to me now better? I think it has to do with the fact that it has a noise filtering, so that might be the issue. Do you hear me now better if I speak a little bit more loud? I hope you do. If not, please let me know. Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, and I want to show you here. I don't know if you can see it on camera. This is a Roku remote controller, and you will notice something really curious about the first Roku. You see these four buttons here are like the quick setup buttons, And what they used to do is that Roku had agreements with certain content providers. As you can see, there's Netflix, there's even Blockbuster there. I don't know if you can see it. There's Amazon and MGO. And what they used to do is they will make an arrangement for sponsorship for their streaming boxes in exchange for a certain fee. So what they will do is they will have them set up in all the controllers. And if you look for a more recent Roku, you will notice that these buttons have changed with time. And the problem started when they did so, because they started to put a lot of more emphasis on actually attending the request of their sponsors rather than users. The very beginning, Roku was a very, as you can see, this is a Roku one, the first one that we actually had. It had a lot of great content. I mean, you could actually install a lot of private channels from maybe third-party sources. It was very friendly. There wasn't that much of an issue. However, a lot of people started to upload certain channels like XTV, as you can see here in our channel that we made a video about it, which used to be a great IPTV, and it was free, but it was a lot of competition, for instance, with certain content producers which were part of the sponsors that were working with Roku. So they started to push Roku and requested them to actually start going after any of these channels that were developing content that they consider was a direct competition to their content. So Roku started to change its business model, and that's why I think that they went downwards, because a lot of people noticed that channels were just taken out constantly. Like, you added a great channel and it will work for quite some time, and all of a sudden it was taken out because Roku started to enforce their policies against IPTVs. I mean, even though, and we have to be honest, there were certain IPTVs that were not completely legal. There were others that were actually, because they had the sources from maybe live news all over the world online. So what they did is just took that feed and placed it on the app, but still they got taken down. And this caused a lot of problems, because there were certain IPTV producers that they pretty much couldn't carry on working with Roku. And all of a sudden, then, Amazon came by, and they realized that there was a lot of potential with the streaming boxes. And what they do, they launched their own streaming box. It was the Amazon Fire and the Fire Stick. And as you can see, there was so much pressure about people for us to acquire a new Amazon Fire that we actually had to do so, to try it out and see how it worked. And I'll be honest with you, it was a great investment. If you ask me, I do have and I do own both streaming devices, both of them, the Roku and also the Amazon Fire. But if you want my opinion, I prefer a Roku device because it's simpler to use. If I'm going to spend most of my time just watching maybe certain apps like Netflix and maybe Amazon Prime and other apps that were pretty much user friendly, that they have a better interface. Because on the Roku, it's so easy to add channels. I mean, I will show it to you real quick. Well, also I want to point out that Roku has content depending on the region. So some channels might be available on certain countries and others will not. We made a video about it on our channel. I think it's all the way up there. You can check it out. It has to do with people struggling finding certain apps or channels, and that's because the content varies by region. We're in Panama, but if for instance we choose, let's say, the US, which is the country that has the most content, you will notice that it's completely different and you get way more channels. It's another language, but still, it depends on what you're looking for. Yes, the Roku is more family oriented and their interface is way more easy to use. I mean, you can just click and add a channel. It's very, very, very friendly. And this is something that I can tell you that Amazon needs to work a lot. However, if you ask me, if I'm a movie and TV shows junkie and I do want to get a lot of apps and feature, the Roku might not be the best device to look for. I will strongly recommend an Amazon Fire, because the Amazon Fire, I mean, it has so much content. I can tell you that it has a lot of stuff, but there's a thing with the Amazon Fire that if you're actually thinking about it, and if you have a family, you might want to reconsider it, and it's because the App Store on the Amazon Fire devices is not as good as the one that you will find on the Roku devices, and it has to do because they are still using the same interface that they use for their Amazon store, which is the regular store, and you get all of these apps just thrown in there, but they are not properly categorized. I mean, you can see it only says an app, but for instance, if you want to look maybe for the latest or the most recent, it's very difficult, I mean, to try and get it organized. You can look for newest arrivals, but still, I mean, it's really complicated. It's not very easy, and if you do install it, I'd like to show you here. It's a free app, and we're going to try to show you more or less how it's the interface. It doesn't give you like that much data as when you're looking, for instance, let's just check this out, Roku channel. It tells you a lot of details. It shows you more or less the screens, and actually they are categorized because you see there's kids and family and featured. However, here you have to actually go into the app and try to see what's the content and how it is categorized, and you don't find it. You can actually install it remotely. I mean, if you use the cloud only option, what it does is upload it to a cloud, and then you have to install it manually from the device you want to. On the Roku, when you just hit install or add channels, it gets added to all of your streaming boxes associated with that Roku account. So if you ask me, I think it's better the Roku for those that are more family oriented and they do not bother a lot with going for, let's say, certain apps like IPTVs and stuff like that that you cannot just play on Roku devices, or maybe VPNs and that sort of things, because the Roku is pretty restricted in the sense that they will not allow you to get access to a lot of content because of the whole copyright issues and agreements that they have, remember, with these guys here down, that pretty much makes them worry more about them than you as a customer. However, Amazon, they still try to enforce that stuff, like you're not able to upload certain controversial channels to their app store, but since it's based on the Android OS, you can still install the apps through third-party sources, just using a downloader and having the APK file and install it. So yes, the Amazon Fire, despite having a terrible, and I apologize for saying this, I know a lot of people will find it kind of harsh, their app store is definitely a mess. It's not just as friendly as the other one. I mean, it's really complicated. As you can see, you don't get stuff categorized here online. If you check it out on the Amazon Fire devices, they do have categories, so you can actually look for them on the Amazon Fire device, and it's a good thing because you still get a better interface. But when you come to the Amazon website and try to find the App Store, it's a terrible, I mean, it's really complicated. It's not friendly oriented. You don't get that much categories, because if you look at the setup, it's more like an Amazon regular store. So if you want to find something, you don't get that much. I mean, it's kind of hard to understand because, as you can see, it's not as friendly as the one that you find here. For instance, if you're looking for stuff like what's on or the channel store, you will notice that they are very well organized. They will tell you, you know, this stuff here, it's, if you're looking for movies, they're displayed here. If you're looking for maybe paid services, they're here. If you want TV everywhere, they're here. On the Amazon Fire store, it's a mess. If you try to check it out online, I'm telling you, it's really complicated and it's not easy to get it sorted nor figure it out. So my advice is use the App Store on the Fire devices because it has categories there, but it doesn't have them here on the the Amazon Fire App Store, available on the Amazon website. So we have made a lot of videos, and we are actually checking out what's the new stuff that comes with Amazon, and when we find something new, we make a video about it. So don't forget to subscribe. It helps you a lot because then you don't have to be constantly struggling finding out what is the latest content for you to add on your Amazon Fire. The same happens with the Roku, but still, as we say, Roku has a Roku news channel. Well, it's not a channel, it's like a featured app on their Roku devices where you can find the latest or the newest apps that have been installed, which is good because it always keeps you up to date on what's going on Roku devices. However, and again, the Rokus are restricted, so you might find some issues when trying to add certain channels. You will notice that it depends on the regions. For instance, if you have your Roku account based on, for instance, Mexico, and you're looking at something from the US that you want to install, you will not be able to do so because the content changes depending on the region. So remember that you will need a DNS if you want to switch accounts and simulate other countries. But once you create an account on Roku, that's it. If you want to change to another country, you have to unlink that device, make a hard reset, and then create a new account from that country, and then you can link it and add the content. So you cannot have content from different countries. On the Amazon Fire, you can, because you can install the apps from third-party sources. So you can have apps from maybe Europe and apps from the US. It doesn't matter. It's a great thing. The other point is that also you can install a VPN on Amazon Fire devices, which is good. So for instance, if you check out our Netflix videos, I know a lot of people have been asking about those. You can simulate that you're in other parts of the world. And of course, Netflix, as you know, has content libraries depending on the country. So you can actually, with your same Netflix account from any part of the world, either it's a Mexican Netflix or the US Netflix, you can still change regions and watch content, for instance, from maybe, I don't know, Japan or Canada, or maybe, I don't know, South America. We've made some videos about it, so make sure you check them out because it's very useful and it's very simple to use. It's not difficult. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Any questions or comments are always welcome. I hope that you can actually listen to me better. I try to raise the volume on the microphone, and it doesn't seem to work that way as good as I was expecting. So yes, we have ordered a new microphone. It's a studio microphone, but because of the whole coronavirus thing, it has taken quite some time. Hopefully I will have it here by tomorrow, and in our next live feed I can actually use the microphone. It will be way better. I hope you can even listen to me clearer and with a higher voice. But yes, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm using my headset and it's good for gaming, but for some reason it gets noise filtering and it does lower my volume. So still, if you feel free, make any questions or comments. I will always be more than glad to help you. Again, don't forget to subscribe. You can find a lot of our videos. We're always uploading content at least once a week, every Fridays or maybe Thursdays. We try to keep up with Fridays. Sometimes it will be Saturdays, but please do subscribe. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Leave any comments or questions. We always try to reply as soon as possible. Sometimes we do get a lot of comments, so it might take a while for us to reply. Sometimes we don't. It depends on the day, so we always try to keep up and reply to you as quickly as possible. We are always welcome any questions or comments as long as they are respectful and they don't kind of violate any of the YouTube's community guidelines. Again, if you ask me between a Roku and an Amazon Fire which one I choose, I will prefer basically the Amazon Fire because I do enjoy watching a lot of movies, and I also enjoy switching countries and regions, so it does give me a certain amount of freedom. However, if you ask me if I had children or people at home, I would prefer using the Roku because it's more easier to use, it has a better interface, and it's more organized on the App Store sense, but it's restrictive in the matter that you cannot get as much content as you would on the Amazon Fire. However, there's a third streaming box that we hopefully expect to get somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks. It's another streaming box that is Android based. So it's interesting because a lot of streaming boxes are now appearing out of nowhere because this whole streaming industry is gaining more and more attention. So you can actually check it out. It's not just Roku and Amazon Fire. Now you have Xiaomi, which is a Chinese manufacturer. They do smartphones, they do, say, smart watches and other apps. So they're launching their own, they have their already launched, their own streaming box. There's also the NVIDIA. But we're going to try this one because it's within the same budget that you will expect from a Roku and an Amazon Fire Stick. So again, thanks for watching, and please stay at home, stay safe. Any questions or comments are always welcome, and goodbye.